All right, I'm not sure whether I'm streaming on here right now. Oh, there we go. Starting to stream. I haven't done one of these for a long time. So, I think we're just now getting started. I haven't done one of these for a long time. I just thought I'd, just kind of pop my head in and see how everybody is. Excuse me. I was out playing with the dog for a couple hours. Oh, not an hour, a couple hours. Yeah, 30, 40 minutes or so. I think he's fairly exhausted. We were just like running around and having a good time. What's up, homie? What's up, man? Yeah, not really scheduled any type of live stream. Just thought, how about late night live stream? We could all just hang out on a Wednesday night. As strange as that would sound. Wednesday night, just all hang out. How you guys doing? Going good? Question, answer, just general discussion. Maybe have someone come in here. I don't know. I know MJ's not on right now. I was trying to get him on the call earlier, but he wasn't on. And then I guess it's just a weird day for everybody. No one's on. How's everyone doing today? Anyone have finals or anything coming up? Anything big? I know I do have finals coming up, and that's really not my favorite thing in the world. I have been kind of racked with stress over the last couple weeks, and I am just a couple days away from my first final this semester, and it's a lot. I know how a lot of people don't know about. I don't know how many people who are here who know a lot about law school and how it's structured, but for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically just one final per class. Is like the entire grade is just like one grade, not like split up between homework or essays or finals or tests or anything else like that. It's just simply that one grade. So it does get kind of stressful. I have my graduation. Oh man, awesome. Totally. Graduations are awesome. High school, college, graduate school, what? From what are you graduating from? Let's see. You think Ultra Instinct was necessary? I mean, Super Saiyan God Red was forgotten when Super Saiyan Blue came up. Was Ultra Instinct necessary? That is a really good question, because I don't really want to say that it wasn't necessary, but the show did a really weird thing, in my opinion, where they made Jiren so strong and they made everyone else so weak in comparison. I mean, Goku and Vegeta, Jiren, Topo, Frieza, and 17, those 5 people, I guess you could also put Dispo in there. So like those 6 people were leagues and bounds above everyone else in the entire series, and at least in that entire fight, to the point where it's almost embarrassing that everyone else tried to even fight them in any real way. And I guess when you make Jiren that much stronger than Goku and Vegeta after they've dominated everything else in their path, then that transformation as a whole was really unnecessary, because it was just something to make him that much stronger. And that's one of the biggest things Super did every single time, was they introduced transformations not for emotional relevance or character purpose or anything else like that. They just needed a way to create a situation where your main character would be stronger than the person that they're fighting, and it just didn't work, in my opinion. I mean, Ultra Instinct, Rage, Blue, Red, heck, I could be missing some. Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10, that stuff was just out of nowhere, and it was like, why are they even doing this? What purpose does this serve? And I guess I understand it, but I'm not a huge fan of it, and I don't have to be. Excuse me. Working on a Dragon Ball cosplay for an anime convention. Oh, that's cool, man. What is it? Which character, or is it just your own general character? No one really in particular. Maybe a Xenoverse character, or Dragon Ball Online, or is it Goku, Vegeta, or Gohan, or anyone? Tell me. High school. Congratulations, man. That was a big part of my life. I'm sure it's a big part of almost everyone's life, is graduating from high school. That stuff, it's so crazy. You're going to go off to college, hopefully, or maybe not, I don't know. But if you go off to college, if you go off to like graduate school, it's like you're gonna see just how easy high school was, even though you had a hard time, and that's gonna be the weirdest thing in your. It's just the weirdest thing looking back on that stuff. Is like, wow, like I had a hard time with that, but it was like really easy in comparison to what I'm doing now. But at the time, it was just as difficult, and that's just the epitome of like what growing up is, and actually learning from mistakes and getting smarter, and just basically having all of life lessons thrown at you as you grow older. And then you're going to sit back and you like wonder, wow, what happened to the time? I mean, I thought it was like 10 years, like no way 10 years or so have gone by or something like that. And you're just going to wake up one day and it is, and it's crazy. That's a strange rant. How do you think Rage Kid Buu would do in the Tournament of Power? You do probably pretty well. I don't think that a lot of people could stand up to him, unless we're going off the idea that Krillin, Tenshinhan, Master Roshi, and 18 were just ridiculously stronger than they really should have been in that situation. I mean, heck, even 17 was too strong in that situation than he really should have been. But I understand and I appreciate why they did that. I just think he probably would have done well. I mean, he definitely would have been a better person to have besides Krillin, Tenshinhan, 18, and Master Roshi. And all those people did pretty good in their own right. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Let's see. What college do you go to? I don't go to college. I'm in law school. Did White come up? Did White come up because I made it? Topo should have replaced Jiren. I completely agree. I think it would have been cool. All right, I know I did this video a couple times and everyone got mad at me for it, but I can't be the only one who thinks it would be super cool for Jiren to be brought up as this BA character. Oh my gosh, like this person's the strongest person in all of Universe 11. Goku fights him in the 1 hour special. It's awesome. We're all waiting for that rematch. It's going to happen at some point. And then Jiren ends up losing pretty early on in the entire tournament. Not like immediately, but around the exact same time that Topo lost. And then you're like, oh, we got this in the bag. That's awesome. And then we have Topo who's like, no longer is this about survival. It's only, or justice. It's about survival. And he turns into the God of Destruction. And then we cap the entire series off with Goku going up against the God of Destruction and actually beating the God of Destruction. When we started this entire series off with Goku trying to fight a God of Destruction and losing badly, that seems pretty much like an open and closed book, in my opinion. But no, they decided to make it Jiren, this really one-dimensional, one-off character who's just stronger than the God of Destruction for reasons. I don't understand why they did that, and I feel like the very fact that they created Topo as a character really undermined Jiren's whole relevance in the entire story. Like, you can just have Jiren want or have the same motivation or something as Topo, and it's fine. But giving him such a bland backstory and a bland narrative, even a personality throughout the entire series, it just doesn't work. It doesn't really make me want to go back and watch or even care about who this guy is. But Topo is a whole nother level. From the very beginning, this guy had a lot of personality to him. He had swagger. He had hopes and dreams, and he had a reason to fight, unlike Jiren, or a legitimate reason to fight. Something that is, I guess, as intangibles gets. It's something you can relate to, like justice. Okay, what is justice? Like, what is his sense of justice? Dragon Ball's never going to go into that much of a philosophical realm. Whenever they say justice or something, it's like, oh yeah, he's a good guy. And then you kind of realize that he's willing to throw that away just for the power enough to actually fight Goku and Vegeta after Jiren, this guy he thinks could stand up to them, lost. And it has to push Goku to a stronger evolution or a technique or transformation than he's ever gotten before, or anyone that he's ever faced. And you have, going all the way back, you have Whis going like, hey, you could beat Beerus if you want, if you work together. But in order to beat him one-on-one, you're going to need this thing called Ultra Instinct, or even though he didn't say that's what it was, but it's like you're going to need to able to react before anyone fights you. I mean, just there's so much in there that would have made it make sense, and yet they didn't put it that way, and it makes me mad every single time I think about it. And I know I went on a stupid little rant there, but I'll get back to these questions. Let's see. Real is really real. Love the guy, even though I haven't met him. Oh man, thanks, sports fan JW. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I also really like it whenever I see you on my streams and my comment section and stuff. You always add some really interesting perspective to the discussion and stuff, and that's hard to ask for. It's weird. Like, some people don't. Like, some people like fight you. A small little rant today. So I haven't been focusing so much on this channel. I am, for anyone who's listening and even cares right now, I'm going to be using this channel primarily as probably a streaming service, just to have a discussion about Dragon Ball every now and then, and a couple of discussions here and there, maybe 1 or 2 a week or something like that. But mostly, if I can actually get some time after my finals are done, being more so of a pitch reel, like really kind of live up to the name Productions, really, where it's like everything here is wholly original and really thought out and put together in a nice way. I'm going to be continuing my Dragon Ball Super Rewrite series. I have the idea. I know exactly where I want to go for episodes 6 and 7. So hopefully get those out to y'all sometime soon if I have some time over the weekend as I'm studying for my test. Maybe if I stop, tomorrow night, I'll sit down and try to write it. And then at the same time, also bringing other pitches, like wholly original pitches, what if pitches, or at least like the concept of what if pitches that I want to bring here that's not wholly fan fictional, at least in my opinion. And then just other things like that, like really fun, interesting content that's things that you aren't going to get anywhere else. But admittedly, I can't produce that stuff as quickly as I did like all the other stuff I've been doing this entire time. So I completely understand, like, if people are going to unsub or stop following and just kind of forget about me until Dragon Ball Super comes back or something like that. But I just wanted to give anyone who's actually listening and cares a reason to understand like what's happening to my channel at this point. And in the meantime, I'll be really focusing heavily on my other channel, Real Talk, where I'm doing basically the same thing I did over here, just not talking about Dragon Ball. Theories, speculations about The Walking Dead, the Saw franchise. I've done a couple of videos on The Office. I really hope, and it's just something I have such a fondness in my heart. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to come off as an idiot and just someone who's completely uninformed, ill-informed, or not willing, or not surely shouldn't be participating in the discussion. But the box office stuff that I do from time to time, especially now that Avengers is coming out, I probably will sit down sometime tomorrow and try to figure out how much that movie is going to make, and do a quick video on it, just a quick prediction video, and hopefully cover it this weekend. If you want to hear the up-to-date news, that would be a nice little break to come in and do those update videos on Friday and Saturday and Sunday and whatnot. If you want to hear about that stuff and you don't really know where to check it out or anything, obviously you can just Google it. It would be easy to find. But if you want to hear what I think of it, then make sure to go follow me on Real Talk. But I'm going to get right back to the conversation. All that to say, thank you, Sports Fan JW. Always a pleasure. I remember back when you even joined the channel after my discussion with Geekdom, and you've been like a loyal subscriber and a commentator on this channel ever since. I really appreciate that, man. I really do. For the convention going as Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and a White Fox God of Destruction character. Oh, that's awesome. Jeez. Oh, wow. That's great, man. I'm going to jump forward. I'm not going to Kamehacon. I really would like to go. I would really like to go and meet everyone. Like, I would have so much fun, guys. Especially for, like, I would take people out for drinks or something afterwards or something like that. The only problem here, seriously, the only problem is I have finals. And even though it's, I can't, like, it is just the biggest issue for me because it's so important. Law school is so important. This is my entire grade for the entire semester, and it's so hard to comprehensively study for whatever final that's coming up at any given point. during the time that you should be studying. And I understand that. And I don't think I'm going to go. I don't. And if I were to go, I would probably go on like the last day and only be there through the convention, but not any other time or after, maybe like a drink or so after with MJ or anyone else who wants to join or something. I don't know. And that's the problem. I'm going to do my best and see where I'm at. But I do have a crazy amount of finals, especially finals that weekend. So like I said, the last day is the only possible situation I could find myself being there. But it pains me. It absolutely pains me that I can't go to Kamehacon, because I feel like that's the type of place and situation that I should be in after covering this franchise and doing so much that I've done for this franchise for as long as I have done. So it's just really not great. I feel bad about it. It's okay. Enough of the emotional kick right now, right? Let's get into like some real conversation. All right. Hey man, sorry I can't stick around. I just got to work. Love the content. Keep up the good work. Hope you have a great day. Oh man, thanks Christopher. I really appreciate this. I really do. I don't do this for like compliments or anything, but I really do appreciate everyone who comes out and just kind of really appreciates what I'm here and doing and what I'm bringing to the table. I know a lot of people don't, and truthfully, like some of the stuff I put out there isn't like top-notch quality stuff. I really do appreciate the people who are just willing to take a chance and listen to my thoughts and opinions on Dragon Ball or anything else. Because before I get into like any other questions, I just want to kind of make this clear. I've said it on a couple of other videos, but I just want to be real about this. Like, I don't consider myself like incredibly knowledgeable about anything that I cover on YouTube. I don't care if it's Dragon Ball or this all franchise or anything else. I just think that I love the commentating. I love being, for better or worse, like a pundit on Dragon Ball or anything else like that. It's like I have opinions. I want to share those opinions, and hopefully people agree or they disagree, but we can have a civil discussion about them. That's why this platform is so freaking awesome. I love just coming out here, talking to you guys about this, that, or the other, and everyone sharing their thoughts and opinions, especially on the live streams, because then I get a great idea of how you guys interact with, what do y'all think about this or that or anything else like that, and we can just have a discussion about this. We can all get in on it, and I can hopefully, if I do these correctly, which I never do, I always get into these tangents, I can get to every single one of your questions. And that's the problem. I feel like some people watch my content or expect certain things from certain genres of YouTube creators who they feel like, oh, you're supposed to be this, when really I consider myself just a commentator. I mean, I'm not supposed to be taken seriously. I feel like it would be unwholesome to take Dragon Ball way too seriously. I mean, take it with a grain of salt, have fun with it, and try to come up with what you think you would like to see, and then throw it out there, and maybe people agree, maybe they don't, but it's really fun to at least discuss. And it's what I used to do on the playground back when Dragon Ball actually started. I did it with everything. I did it with my friends growing up on anything that we enjoyed, and that's what YouTube has become to me. It's just an idea gathering machine, and just a way of expanding your bubble to a greater proportion, and that to me is so special. I mean, just absolutely so special. But anyway, I'm gonna just jump on to other things. The rewatchability value of that arc is 0. I'm gonna enjoy watching. I'm assuming you're talking about the Tournament of Power, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Because I am way too behind right now to know exactly what you were getting at. That's Nostalgia Douchebag V 2.0. 2.0. I don't know. I like the Tournament of Power. I can't wait to rewatch it. It's gonna be great. What's up, me? I was like, oh wow. Okay, Mr. Steal Your Girl. If you had to choose to bang MJ or Geekdom, who would you pick? Oh my gosh. I thought of an answer, but I'm not gonna say it. It's unwholesome. All right. What do you think about Vegito versus Jiren? If Goku and Vegeta were really the last two within a minute left, I think they would have won. I think that there's no way that they wouldn't have won unless they were to take the power level of Goku and Vegeta at that point, and then further reducing the power of the evolution or the fusion. And I think that's one of the worst things that Super did, is it went into the entire franchise, and not only did it give us an absurd amount of transformations, it lessened the impact or value of all the other transformations that were gotten through ritual. And I understand that that's not how Goku and Vegeta wanted to evolve, and that's not the way they wanted to end every single arc. They didn't want Vegito to beat Merge Zamasu. They didn't want Vegito to beat Jiren. They didn't want Gotenks or anyone else to defeat anybody. But that was one of the coolest things that Dragon Ball Z gave us. I love the evolution of Dragon Ball Z at the very end there, because even though a lot of people might have problems with the fact that, oh, Goku got Super Saiyan 3 at the very end, and he didn't have any real reason to have that. It wasn't emotionally driven. It wasn't character driven. It was just kind of thrown at you, and there was no real reason to explain or even identify where it came from or how he got it. That's fine. I understand that. That was like the last one we actually got, because right after that, it was like, we need these rituals, like a fusion dance, or these ancient god earrings that barely anyone has anymore because there's no more gods left besides these two that we just so happen to meet. Or it's like, or we free a god from a sword and he has this way of unlocking your unlimited potential. That is cool. And then Dragon Ball Super kind of picked that back up and was like, hey, Super Saiyan God much? Total ritual situation? Let's do this. And they let that happen. And then immediately, even though it was kind of cool to sit there and think, oh, what's the next transformation going to be like? What are they going to do to get Super Saiyan Blue? Are they just going to turn Super Saiyan? Oh, that's underwhelming. What are they going to do to kind of grow out of that? Are they going to have another way that Goku and Vegeta can seek out power and actually transform or push their bodies further without just simply relying on the fact that they're Saiyans? Oh, I can't wait to see it. And then immediately it was like, no, that was the last time we're doing it, and we're just simply going to take this entire franchise to whittle down everything that came before it, or any other way that anyone pulled out power in a meaningful way that wasn't just simply blood, sweat, and tears. And I hate that, because it makes everything feel less. I feel like Goku is sitting there at the beginning of Dragon Ball Super and doesn't realize just how much stronger he can become until he does that evolution, or that transformation. And then he goes and trains with Whis, doing basically nothing special than what he's always done, but somehow gets so much stronger. Same thing with Vegeta. And Vegeta's a little special of a case because he never really had a master, but Goku's a little different because he actually trains with everyone in the series. So you have Goku going in, training, and transforming. Vegeta doing the same, never doing another ritual. And you're like, oh, okay, so they just always had this potential in them. They just hadn't been training with the right people. They hadn't been allowing their ki to stay in their bodies instead of escaping, and that turns them into gods somehow. That's a real great that's a real great explanation. Instead of the fact where it's like, hey, you know what? You have a problem with this. Goku, Vegeta, everyone else, you have a problem with doing these rituals, with getting your strength from places where you don't think you deserve it. Like everyone giving you the strength, or maybe just a godlike creature unlocking your unlimited potential, stuff that you would have a hard time, maybe even a lifetime bringing out, even though you're a Saiyan, and allowing you enough strength or enough possibility to win the fight that you so desperately need to win. That is a cool situation, because it would have Goku and Vegeta dealing with their inner demons. It's like, yes, we want to get stronger, but we don't want it this way, but there's no other way, so we have to basically live with ourselves and do it for the people we love and care about. That would have been cool. They never really focused on it, except for a small little dialogue in the movie and in the anime in which Goku kind of mentions, oh, this power seems ill-gotten, and then Beerus is like, what? That's stupid. Like, you shouldn't be so prideful. So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much my entire rant on that. I don't really like it. yes, I'm gonna have I'm gonna have to marathon the rewrites. You have a good content, bro. Keep it up. And The Office, yes, please more. I'm looking to buy the box set. I'm recently got into it and I'm addicted. I love The Office. I just started season 8. I'm on the first episode of season 8, and Robert California, James Spader has actually come in, and this is the second win of the show. I love Robert California. He is so much different. When they brought in Will Ferrell, it was too much of the same thing. It wasn't funny at all. And if there's one bad thing about that, it's like, oh, Stephen Carell's leaving. That's a really good episode. Heartfelt. The interaction he has with Pam is really great. But D'Angelo's character and the whole inner circle situation that's going on around that time just doesn't make any sense. And I don't think it's really funny to boot. But once James Spader comes in, it's like, oh man, this guy's completely different. And he completely flips the entire show on its head and makes everyone super uncomfortable, and it gets back to its roots in a different, more exciting way. That was the best decision they could have made. And then he leaves, and then the show tanks. Like, season 9 is just like, what the hell happened here? What are they doing? This is crazy. Like, people are all over the place. Pam is jealous, kind of cheating or emotionally cheating on Jim. Jim is kind of a dick. Like Andy Bernard, like Ed Helms' character is just completely off the rails and crazy at this point, while Dwight's character is just as crazy as ever. It's just it doesn't work, in my opinion. I subscribe to you only for one thing: your laugh. I can't. I really haven't been in the mood to laugh, but thank you, man. I need to bring back. In fact, I might even actually ask him if I can take that video just for my channel. I don't know if it did really well, but I need to bring back Kanji on this channel, because if there is one person in this whole community that can make me laugh, it's Kanji. I love Kanji so much, and I heard a lot of people had watched his Fusion Challenge and were wondering where I was, but I couldn't make it work with my time schedule. It's been a really crazy semester for me, but I really appreciate it. In your opinion, is God transformation in Super better than Super Saiyan 4 transformation in Dragon Ball GT? I like the ritual. I'm probably one of the only people who like the ritual in the anime more than I did in the movie, and I love the Super Saiyan Videl thing, even though it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I love changing of the weather. I love all this other stuff. I wish it was a little bit more of a spectacle than it was, even though they did take an entire half episode to basically do that entire transformation. Total waste of time, in my opinion. But Super Saiyan transformation, Super Saiyan 4 transformation is actually better because it feels a whole lot more personal. That freaking picture, I can't tell you how many times I've watched that scene and I've paused it at the picture that Pan has to show the Golden Ape Goku in order to calm him down and make him turn back into Super Saiyan 4, or at least turn into Super Saiyan 4 the first time. It's great. It's so freaking awesome. There's so much story and character in that one picture. You talk about, says 1,000 words. Perfect scene, perfect emotional situation for everyone involved, and was really building up for it for a long time. Super Saiyan God, even though we knew it was coming, just kind of comes out of nowhere, right? Like, yes, we'd been talking about it. Yes, Beerus wanted to fight it and everything else like that, but they had to call the dragon. He's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, you could do this, whatever. And then the one thing that they needed to do or get right in the series was just not screw up the whole Videl reveal that she was pregnant, and yet they did that. And they did it so much better in the movie. It's crazy. I mean, I understand you want to draw out the story. You want to figure out a way to retell this stuff, make it a part of the main canon. Don't have to have people rely on the movies. But it's one thing to do that, and then it's another to have it's another to water down the best moments from the movies, both sagas, Battle of Gods and Fakatsu no F, and also take out parts because you're relying on people to actually have watched the movies before they go into the series. It's just utter nonsense, and I don't understand why they did that. So yeah, just to answer that question, Super Saiyan 4 transformation is so much better because it actually has emotional aspect to it, when Super Saiyan God is just pure spectacle. Okay. Let's see. You think characters like Roshi and Tenshinhan will finally take steps back and make room for Trunks and Goten, possibly Oob? Yeah, I think if they're bringing this show back, then they can't afford to get rid of like Goten and Oob and Trunks and all these other people. Like, you have to focus on who you're actually fighting for, who you're actually going to be showing throughout the entire series. So I think it definitely makes a lot of sense for them to focus on those characters more and not really show Master Roshi attention on, or anyone else that they could possibly be showing at any given point in this entire series. So, I mean, it's really up to them, but that's what I would do. I think Toei, Toriyama, Toritaro, all of them have really shown that they don't do what would seemingly be the best decision in any story situation. You can chalk that up to however you want. I know that's what they want to do. I have my own way of thinking about it, but I'm not really sure. Thanks for killing it, Toei, like content a lot. Thanks for killing it too. Like your content a lot. Hi. Would you have liked to have more backstory for the 12 universes? I would have. I know they were never going to do this, but it's hard for me to say that they didn't go into this. They didn't go into this tournament. They didn't go into the Tournament of Power not knowing that this was going to be the last arc that they were going to do for a while. And I understand the reason they kind of had to rush it. They had this idea that it was going to end. They were going to do this reunion series or, revival series for this anime they play a lot. I don't know a whole lot about it, so I'm not going to really talk about it. And then possibly in the future, they're going to bring back Dragon Ball. And they're also doing the movie, so they were going to let their animators rest and then start doing the movie sometime in the near future, so they would have enough staff. It's not the same thing as it was in the 90s when they can do movies and the anime at the same time, and there's no real dip in quality. So what I would have done, though, and I think a lot of people in the fandom would have really appreciated, is maybe a much longer recruitment arc. Instead of the glimpses that we got from Universe 11 or Universe 6 and majority Universe 7, we would focus primarily on other universes and setting those people up in a real big way, to the point where, like, we're not sure who's going to be the last man out, like who's going to be the odd man out, or when anyone's actually going to be eliminated. Going into this entire tournament was pretty easy to know who was going to be the odd man out at any given point. Like, we knew that Universe 10 didn't have any real relevance in the entire series. Because we saw Universe 9 in the preliminary matches, we knew that they weren't going to be the main people either. And then, you just go down the list. It's like, well, Universe 2 does, like, Universe 2 kind of matters because we got to see Brienne at the very beginning. Universe 3 is also going to have some importance because they showed us that. But all these other universes, we didn't really get to get much from them. So these guys aren't going to have a big impact on this entire tournament. And that's pretty much what we got. It would have been so much better to pad out the time waiting for the anime and the manga to catch up, or at least being a little ahead of each other, maybe even allow the manga to start the tournament before the anime and just give us all that story. So we're just going back and forth between Goku and 17 and 18 and all the recruitment, and getting to see Kaba recruit Kale and Caulifla, getting to see Hit do his thing, getting to see Brienne and all of Universe 3 do their thing, and Universe 10 getting ready, and all these other things. So we get to see who these universes are, because my biggest problem here is that after the Tournament of Power, these universes have no more relevance in a series or manga or anything else like that, because we know that Goku and Vegeta can take them on and beat them easily, unless they're going to retcon something or have someone from that universe actually step up and be a bigger threat than they really should have been, or someone who probably should have been in the Tournament of Power to begin with. So, yeah, like, the only ones we can focus on now, because the Tournament of Power did what it did and they decided to end it there, is give us someone from Universe 1, 12, 8, and 5, So, that's not my favorite thing in the entire series. It's something that I kind of feel like they hurt their future prospects more than they help them. But that's just a little rant there. Do you think the final episode should have been 2 episodes? Heck yeah. I really think that would have been a better option to have that episode be 2 episodes and just pad out the story a little bit more, but it's just whatever. Triggered talking about the different rituals. I like the different rituals. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really like them. Good content. Keep up the good work. All the best for your finals. Check out my drawings if you have your time. Do you have a Twitter account? If you have a Twitter account, just tweet me some of the drawings so I can go and look them up, and I'll definitely do that. Did Vegeta lose his ability to go beyond Super Saiyan or no? Or Blue? I don't think he did. But it's hard to imagine. They always put the Beyond Super Saiyan Blue with Vegeta on probably the same level as Goku Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. Maybe Kaioken times 2 or something like that. So obviously Goku can still match him and even outpace him if he wanted to, but they're more so on the same level than they used to be. And Vegeta more naturally probably is stronger than Goku right now, which I'm really perfectly happy with if they decided to go that route, but I don't think it's going to stay like that for long. Hey, to real. Hey, Leo. Sorry. And who do you think is going to die in Avengers 3? I don't know. I'm just happy that we get to watch it finally. I've heard some pretty on the fence things, and I just want to see it for myself, but it's not going to be immediate, and I might get spoiled before I actually see it. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Let's see. I don't know. I would guess Loki's gonna die, and then Loki will die. Iron Man won't die yet. Vision's gonna die. I don't know. Vision and Loki are probably the 2 safest bets. Dragon Ball versus Z. Interesting question. I think Dragon Ball is a better story. Z is Z is a more fun watch, if that makes any sense. So Z is the type of show that I would probably sit down and watch more often than I would watch Dragon Ball, because even though I would admit Dragon Ball is a better story, I don't like basically anything from Dragon Ball from the very beginning of the show until we get to the 20-second tournament. Everything before that is just utter garbage. I don't understand why people put it on such a high pedestal. It's too funny. It's too adventure, monkey boy humor type animation, and also storytelling, and it's not the type of Dragon Ball that I fell in love with. And I don't even think that that's a fair I don't think that that's not a fair criticism. I know a lot of people will be like, well, that was Dragon Ball and that's what it was meant to be. But that's not what Dragon Ball is now. I mean, look at Dragon Ball Super. If Dragon Ball was what it was when it first started, or what it was actually meant to be when it first started now, then Dragon Ball GT would have exploded. There's a reason that show failed. There's a reason those first 13 episodes are terrible. And it's not because they basically copy and pasted a bunch of the stories from the original concept of Dragon Ball into those episodes. It's because that's not what the world, Japan, the Western world, everyone else in the entire world fell in love with when it came to Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball in general. We like people screaming at the top of their lungs, muscle-bound guys going off and punching each other into other universes. That's cool crap. And Dragon Ball just isn't that. Until you get to the 20-second tournament, where you have Goku versus Tenshinhan, probably one of the best arcs in the entire series, and then it's followed up with the Piccolo Daimao story, and then the 23rd tournament with the Piccolo Jr. story. That is some awesome storytelling. It's very well put together, and it feels natural. It feels exactly what Dragon Ball Z actually was, and a perfect way to get into that original story. But everything before that, too childish. Goku is way too OP. No one can even challenge him. Anytime anyone does challenge him, it's a joke, and it just doesn't sit well with me ever. And that's all I have to say about that. It's pronounced Toei. I don't know what you're saying. Toei. I don't. Who cares?
Sorry, gotta drink. Take a drink. Vegeta SSBE is stronger than SSB Kaioken times 20. Is it stronger than Kaioken times 20? Kaioken times 20, because like Goku never says it, so I'm not really sure. Like, it could easily be Kaioken times 5, 10, 20. I don't know, but I don't remember him ever specifically saying that he was in Kaioken times 20 at any given point, besides actually fighting Hit. And then every time we see him use it, it's just kind of like Kaioken, right? So it could be, it could not be. I'm not really sure. But if you know more than me on that, then I really just want to say I don't know. It could be completely wrong in my opinion. If you can replace or add an arc in Super with your own idea, what would you do with it? Oh. Okay. I would do this, and I'm not sure what I would do with it. But if I could replace an arc in all of Dragon Ball, I would take out the Goku Black arc, because it's the one thing that doesn't connect to the overall story. I don't know what I would do with it. And like, I know a lot of people would probably, who've been with me for a long time, would say, oh, you can do Goten Black or something like that. No, like, I wouldn't even have Trunks come back at all. Like, I've always hated that idea. I hated it at the beginning of when it was first said. I had my channel, is very new, and I was like one of the only people, when everyone was just exploding about it, like the entire community was just breaking down with tears of joy. I was like, this is terrible. And even though they brought him back and it was better than what I thought it would be, it's still not my favorite thing, and that's a problem with the entire show. So I would take that out. I don't know what I would do with it. I think I would replace it with another arc. I would replace it with another arc where we have like a good old-fashioned search for the Dragon Balls type of situation. So you have Universe 10, just jumping off of Universe 10 because they're worthless, or maybe Universe 9, and somebody from there who's like a Frieza adjacent to help Goku remember that Frieza's there or whatever, decides that, hey, I want to go and use the Super Dragon Balls because I always thought they were a myth, but I just saw on GodTube that these two other gods of destruction, Beerus and Champa, had this stupid little tournament, and they were using these things called the Super Dragon Balls that I always thought was a myth, but they're only in Universe 6 and 7, so maybe if I go take them, I can have a selfish wish or something else like that. And then he runs into Champa and takes out Champa because Champa's trying to still gather the Super Dragon Balls, and this guy gets closer. So we have a good old-fashioned search for the search for the Dragon Balls, the same way that Dragon Ball did back in the day, and the same thing that Dragon Ball Z did back on the Namek arc. So it's just kind of this back and forth, and how are you going to corral these giant planet-sized Dragon Balls, and how are you going to stop this entity that can actually go into other universes and fight for them? And hopefully, because it's between Universe 6 and 7, that way you can kind of bring back in people like Kaba and Kale and Khalifa and Hit and everyone else that you can use there, and introduce people before the Tournament of Power and give them more relevance, so you don't have to focus on them in their evolution that much in the entirety of the Tournament of Power. So that's what I would do. It's not fleshed out, obviously. It's just like right off the top of my head, but something that I would really like to see, and I think one of the things that Dragon Ball Super actually dropped the ball on, but not really their fault, because how are you going to create someone who is that strong, who can go in between universes and also have enough power to corral these giant-sized balls that we already knew at the time had this password protection? That was the whole crux of Frieza being completely douched in or foiled in Dragon Ball Z. So I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. I also would probably do the Fakatsu no F arc because I don't like it. And I think a lot of people would probably replace that. But after bringing Frieza back in the Tournament of Power and what he meant to the entire series, you kind of need that, because you need to see how he actually got stronger and why, and how that made sense to begin with. You can't really get rid of that. If you're going to get rid of anything, it has to be the Future Trunks arc, and it as hard as it is. Okay. Let's see. Would you have enjoyed the final fight more if it was God of Destruction Topo versus Beyond Blue Vegeta? Yeah, Like, I would. I do like the idea, as much as people like to say that I'm a huge Vegeta hater or something like that, or else like that. I really think that Vegeta's a good character, and I kind of would have liked to see him win something for a change. And we all knew it was going to be Goku, and even though it wasn't Goku, and it was kind of Goku, if we are being completely honest with ourselves, it doesn't really matter what anyone else was doing or how any of this actually played out. Goku was the one who basically won all of this for everybody, so get over it. 17 played his part, but it wasn't really all that impressive, and Goku was the one who eliminated most of the other universes to begin with, so without him, they wouldn't have won anyway. It would have been kind of nice to see Vegeta actually be the last one standing against someone like Topo, and them play off the whole second fiddle thing. It's like, oh, I don't fight second fiddles, but aren't you second fiddle? And then like it just kind of whittles down to them, even though it was a joke. It was like, oh, that was all set up and planned for something. It wasn't just like a one-off joke. It would have been good for me. I would have enjoyed that. Until the 22nd tournament, Toriyama was just fooling around and experimenting. And that's the point. That's what I hate about Dragon Ball, is that it was just experimenting. He didn't actually have his voice, and yet after he finds his voice, and then he perfectly transitions into Dragon Ball Z territory with the Saiyans and the Zenkais and going to Namek and Frieza and even Cell and the whole Gohan story, and heck, even Boo and everything else like that. There are still people who just latch on to the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, or no, not Dragon Ball Super, but the beginning of Dragon Ball, the original run of the series, and say, this is the epitome of what Dragon Ball is and what everyone should be in reverence to what it should be. Like, this is, if you don't like this, you're not a true fan of Dragon Ball. And I always hate that perspective, because it's like, that's not what you fell in love with. Like, maybe it is. Like, maybe that's what you fell in love with, but the vast majority of people did not fall in love with Dragon Ball. I can't hardly get through it. It's so boring because it's not funny to me, and I don't like these characters. I don't like that they're so OP, and it's just basically a gag manga or anime being played out. It's not the shonen that I've come to love and enjoy. There's no real stakes at the very beginning. Everything's kind of played for laughs, and we don't have Goku being put in a real situation in which he has to prove himself until the 22nd tournament. And then it just continues from there in a really awesome way. And that's what the world fell in love with. So, like, yeah, I don't understand it. It always just feels like the most pretentious thing you could say when you just swear up and down that, you know, like the Search for the Dragon Ball arc in Dragon Ball, or the 21st tournament, which is, you know, a good arc. I'm not going to say that's a bad arc. I absolutely hate the Red Ribbon Army arc, and most people say that it's one of their favorites. I think it's just trash. From bottom to top, it's trash. Goku dominates that entire arc. There's not even one single moment where it feels like he's going to be beaten or anything. There's just like, oh, you have a character who's going around having laughs and basically killing an entire army of people and never having a legitimate threat or issue. I can't. I don't know. I don't understand it. I've seen it too many times in this fandom that people like, oh, Dragon Ball is the best thing ever. Like, Dragon Ball is the best thing ever. The original Dragon Ball is the best thing ever. And like once you get past the Red Ribbon Army arc, it's just a shithole from there on out, and nothing ever really makes any sense, or characters don't make any sense, or just all these things that you can talk about. And it's like, why? For what reasons? There's like not even a legitimate argument to be made there that should be more that should have more goodwill than everything that came after. I don't get it. I'm gonna get off that topic. What if Cell was brought back for the Tournament Power? I don't think he would have had enough time to do anything. I think they would have lost, because even though Frieza didn't do much, he still was able to. Ow, fuck. Sorry. I was sitting on my leg for too long. Even though Frieza lost, and didn't really do much, he was still really important to their success. So yeah. How would you have felt about Janemba having his own saga after Boo's saga and before the end of Z? Just toss Fusion Reborn out of the window. So one of the things that I want to do in the future, and this is something that I have to actually sit down and write, which is always a big challenge for me, because even though I like thinking about it, I like talking about it, I like working out the story with people and all the kinks and all the ideas of what could happen next and all this other stuff, I have a hard time, as I'm sure a lot of people do in my position or just in general, writing ideas down in a very cohesive, interesting manner where you can kind of keep the thread of what's going on being explaining various details and keeping keeping it all interesting the entire time. And I get really in my head about that. Like, oh, this is just absolutely crap. No one's going to like this and everything else like that. So no one's going to appreciate it. But to get back to the question, I have an idea. I remember back a long time ago, I think it might have been even a Q&A that he used to do, Geekdom 101, said, oh, like Janemba is like one of my favorite villains. Like he's it's a cool concept and everything else like that. And I really think that's one of the only times paraphrasing his words, not mine, but I agree with them. It's like, oh, I really think like this is one of the concepts that the Toei staff or Toei, outdid Toriyama, where the character of Janemba is actually a better villain than what Boo was, and it would have been interesting to see him in his own arc. I completely agree with that. In fact, I think that Janemba would have been a better end of the entire series and a more like an entire series, like what Dragon Ball was, than Boo, because of what he could have brought to the table as this dimension-altering entity that could have brought everyone's worst nightmares back, or created a lot more character moments than what Boo was able to give us, and still kind of setting the stage for allowing Gohan and Goten and Trunks and Goku and Vegeta and everyone else to fight each other and have their moments in a completely different way. So I've had this idea for a long time, basically ever since I started YouTube, saying like, oh, I need to write that. I need to write that as a whole. Like, what would Dragon Ball Z's final arc, the whole Boo saga, be if instead of Boo it was Janemba and not Boo? Like, no interrupting of the tournament, no nothing like that. All this other is like, what would have happened and why, and how would it have affected the characters and everything else like that, and or Goku's resonance. Because think of it like this. Goku comes back on the Day Pass in the Boo arc, which is great because they introduced the Day Pass back in Dragon Ball with Grandpa Gohan and all the other stuff that came from that. And it was a good way to bring back that story element in a nice, heartfelt way. He gets to meet Goten for the first time, everything else like that. But Janemba breaks that rule. I mean, it kind of takes away the necessity of having to use the Day Pass, because Janemba's presence kind of shifts the boundaries between life and death. So Goku could freely pass the same way that everyone else could freely pass between dimensions. Like, oh, you're dead, but you can just go and help people on Earth or something like that. Like, it contorts itself to being easily told and a good, easily like getting Goku and everyone else where they need to be in a fun way, but also presenting them with a grand threat that is Janemba. And I like that idea a lot, but it's not something that we'd ever, it's not something that we ever really got. And that was a huge rant for something that didn't really need to be a huge rant, but something that I really appreciated. I'm sorry I get way too bogged down in my questions and answers, and I don't get to everyone. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this. Oh gosh, it's been about an hour. Jeez. Okay. Would have been cool to see a filler episode about Magetta's race, since we know they exist in Universe 7. I don't think they exist in Universe 7. In fact, the headcanon I think a lot of people use is that they are they're robots. They should exist in Universe 7, but the reason they don't is because Boo walked around and killed all these these planets and everything, and that's why they don't exist, and that's why we never got to see them. and why the Kais are so messed up. But based on what they've said throughout the entire series, obviously the Kais just don't know what they're doing, and they're very bad at their job. So, I mean, take it or leave it, whatever you want to think. It would have been cool to see Vegeta's race, though. I like them. I feel so much for Vegeta. Like, every time he's in a sad mode, it breaks my heart. And, like, nothing is sadder than sad Vegeta, guys. Seriously. I'm a new subscriber, been catching up on your videos, and I enjoy watching your content. I wish I subscribed earlier. Thanks, Michael. Man, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. In fact, yeah, it's not going to be as, like I keep saying, not going to be as frequent anymore or anything else like that, but hopefully with the Q&As and everything, people really appreciate like what I bring to the table, and we can all just sit around and, you know, entertain each other until Dragon Ball eventually comes back, either with the movie or the series if it comes back or something like that. And, you know, just between you and I, like, I don't know how many people follow this, and I don't really know the inner workings or anything else like that, but Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball in general, is not going anywhere. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they canceled it. Like, not canceled. They stopped it because it makes no sense. It made so much money. I can't know. I don't know if this is going to help or hurt it, but only time will tell. And if you ask me, I think it will hurt it. I think the fan base, a large portion of the fan base, kind of got caught up in watching content, being kept up with content. It was the nostalgia factor. It's kind of come, it's went. Even if it comes back in a year or 2, 3, or whatever, the iron's not going to be hot anymore. It's not going to be striking. They haven't struck in it in a really long time. People are going to be like, you know, like, I was hyped last time, but it didn't really meet my expectations, so I'm just going to, like, kind of let it slide this time. I could see that happening. I could so see that happening, and it kind of pains me. And I don't want that to happen, obviously, but we'll just have to wait and see. Vegeta versus God Topo wins with SSBE. Goku goes all out versus Topo in exhibition match. Should say it all. Oh, I see what you mean. Sports fan JW. I mean, yeah, I see what you mean. That's good. It's like a complete beginning and end. We get to know that Vegeta is actually stronger. You don't overplay. Ultra Instinct, but at the same time, you make Ultra Instinct look a lot more dangerous than it actually is because you don't overplay it. I like that idea a lot. Do you think they will add a true god in the hierarchy scale? Probably not. I'm not really sure. And there are people out there who know a lot more than I do about how all of this kind of makes sense and how it all kind of plays out, where people, Goku and Vegeta, and what's true God versus what's just a transformation or partial power or something, or just basically turning Super Saiyan Blue just to turn Super Saiyan Blue but not really showing all the power. I don't know anything about that, and I'm not really good at hierarchy or power scale or anything else like that, but there's no reason they shouldn't add it, especially if it's a thing. So we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, it's fairly fresh, it's new. Wait for the fan base to figure out all of this stuff, because I guarantee you in like a year or something, there's going to be someone or something or whatever that puts it together in a really nice manner that everyone's like, oh yeah, that's totally what it is. And that just becomes like the fan knowledge, general knowledge of like who's higher, what's the hierarchy of gods and power levels and all this other stuff. And in a nice way, even though Dragon Ball is just completely all over the place and there's no way of actually ever coming to like a real opinion or a real consensus about like what's going on or how strong people are at any given point or anything else like that. So, I mean, it is what it is. Would you like to see two angels fight? Heck yeah. That was one thing I wanted from if I was one thing I wanted from all of Dragon Ball, it was to see all the freaking channels fight. Or the angels fight. We never got it. It was just one of the worst things. My rewrite for the first 2 arcs, the movies. Oh yeah, that's Steven. That's probably true. My rewrite for the first 2 arcs is the movies, because the movies are so much better. Oh man, dry mouth. Not that it really matters, but I think that the Yard Rat from Universe 2 should have been from Universe 6, while Dr. Rhoda should have been from Universe 2. Yes! Oh my god, yes. Freaking A. I hate what they did with Universe 2. It just boggles my mind, and it makes me scratch my head. I don't understand it. And for anyone who doesn't understand what I'm talking about, I've done a couple of videos on this, so just go through my library and you can find my Yard Rat videos or something else like that. There should have been relevance to it, but there wasn't. They nodded at it. They made us scratch our heads. They kind of made us think, oh, there's going to be some relevance here, but no. I mean, I guess in the future there could be, but jeez. Oh my god. Like, come on. Like, I just think they were lazy. I honestly think they were just lazy, and for whatever reason, Toritaro and Toriyama were like, look, or Toei, or any of them, like, okay. Like, somebody was like, hey, we could put the Yardrati in the Sephorian Universe 6 and make this totally make sense. And then they're like, no. But you have, like, 2 Namekians and 3 Saiyans on Universe 6. Surely you can whittle them down. No. And it's... But you see, we've already set up this lore here that would totally be disregarded if you add these characters in another universe, because it would make fans question what it is. And you're like, no, kids watch our show. Only kids watch our show, and I'm sitting there going, you're dumb, you're wrong. Like, how do you not realize that this show came back because of nostalgia purposes, not because kids watch it? It's because people grew up with Dragon Ball, and now they have money to spend. And yet, they make it so stupid. I'm willing to forgive Trunks' hair. I'm willing to forgive, like, power scaling issues and just simply transformations for story's sake and all of that nonsense and noise. But the Yardratian, it makes me so mad. I don't even understand it. Whatever. God Piccolo, do you agree, man? Yes, I would really like to see a Namekian god. In fact, I've had this, like, theory on my video or my channel for a long time about how Zarama was a Namekian. You have to go check that out. It's pretty easy to find. It's on my front page if you want to watch it. Who's your favorite character in all of Dragon Ball? Oh, what's up, Jesse? My favorite character in all of Dragon Ball. I like Bulma. I like Vegeta. I like Goku. I like Gohan. I like Piccolo. I'm gonna have to say Goten. I like Goten. For reasons that I really can't explain, because Dragon Ball Super kind of steamrolled my original explanation. My original explanation for why I like Goten more than anyone else in the entire series is because he just simply didn't need to exist. I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about Marin, but Goten is way more special because he's connected to the main character of the series, where in Future Trunks' timeline, Goten doesn't exist. Trunks goes back and he saves the future. He even goes back and tells them, like, when I went back to my timeline, everything I did here didn't make any difference, and the reason I came back here is because at least I can help one future. And he really does. Without Trunks' involvement in the entire Cell arc of the series, with the androids and Cell and all the other stuff, I don't think that they would have actually survived or actually had a chance, because he actually he puts himself in bad situations even though he doesn't do much. He's willing there to make the mistakes and allow people to learn from them, or at least be able to tell them what's going on in a certain point. So anyway, Trunks goes back, tries to save Goku, tries to save his own future, can't, goes back, tries to help, and in the process of helping and fixing everything in the timeline, Goten is born. And Goten is the living embodiment, or at least the first child who is the living embodiment that we know from the entire series of Trunks' sacrifice. I mean, the guy dies even though he comes back, he dies. Living embodiment. It's late. I'm sorry. To Trunks' whole mission and whole sacrifice and everything else that he did to save that present timeline. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Channel icon at K's, whatever. One Punch Man versus Ultra Instinct Goku. Who wins? Goku wins. Like, One Punch Man is just a gag shonen, really. So go like one. Who said this? I can't remember who said this. Like Goku wins in Goku's world, but Saitama wins in his world. It just depends on like which realm you're putting them in. If you put him in a neutral realm, then Goku wins because there's no way that Goku's not going to win. In your opinion, how different would this series have been if Raditz landed on Earth during the King Piccolo thing? Would Goku leave Earth with him? No, Goku wouldn't leave Earth with him. He would have killed everybody. He would have killed everyone. He might have taken Goku. Goku was not strong enough to actually stand up to Raditz at that point. Nobody was. It would have been pretty epic to have... it would have been pretty epic if Raditz showed up and then King Piccolo and Kami had to actually fuse together in order to take him out. But I just can't see that happening either. And that's way too fan theory for me. But it's a cool concept. Y'all, I love that scene in the anime. Frieza is my favorite character. What? Did you not just say Janemba was better than Boo Mark Schmidt? Really, Sloth. Do you think Whis is too powerful? He can turn back time. He can deliver babies without that whole process. He can now revive people. Yeah, he's way too strong. It's like angels are a huge problem in this show. They're way too powerful for what it's worth. And I don't think that's really a problem because I don't think they're ever going to fight, but it's definitely something worth talking about. Any retcons or plot holes in DBS that bother you? I mean, I'm sure there are some. Sorry. I'm sure there's some, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's I'd have to think about it. I know that there's a lot of stuff that they kind of introduced that they never really elaborated on or never really gave us any real reason to not reason, but they didn't elaborate it on it, or they didn't give us an explanation for this, that, or the other, and that kind of made me mad, but I can't say it's a plot hole. And I'm sure there are a lot of plot holes, like freaking all the power-ups and power boosts and fights that happen throughout the entire series and how weak or strong people are. Roshi's power, for God's sakes, I think is a plot hole or a retcon or something from what they established earlier, even though we hadn't seen him fight or train or anything for a very long time. So I guess it's reasonable that he could have made such progress. It's just weird considering his character and something that we wouldn't have anticipated him doing. So that's one thing that really pisses me off, like how strong everyone is in the Tournament of Power. But I don't think it's enough to ruin the situation for me. The movie is going to make ridiculous amounts of money. Unless they start using characters that are at the moment side characters. Boo, Goten, Trunks, Tien, my man Krillin, Oob, etc. I probably won't watch when Super comes back, to be honest. They won't. I mean, it's always going to be Goku's show. It just depends on how much they want it to be Goku's show. And the problem is they're now in a real big time crunch. They've kind of eaten up a lot of the 10-year time skip. And they can't simply go back to the 10-year time skip if they wanted to. I guess they could if they wanted to, but it would be weird. And so it would be better for them to go past the ending of Dragon Ball Z. But that's a problem too, because it kind of sets up Goku to be way more of a mentor character than he is an actual fighter. So you're going to run into the whole GT problem where you're going to have Goku outshine his pupil. Not just Pan and Oob, but Goten and Trunks and everyone else that should be learning from him and Krillin and everyone else, because Vegeta and Goku are way more sellable than anyone else, and it's going to hurt the story that way, because these characters who were training theoretically with their masters are so much weaker than them, unless they make that a part of the story and like a teaching method where Goku and Oob and everyone else goes to fight like this threat and they actually give it their all, but they're just not ready to pick up the mantle yet, and Goku has to step in and actually fight or save the day, even though he gave them a fighting chance. That would be cool, but I don't think that that's gonna ever happen. Resurrection F only made $60 million. I think what character from Universe 6 would you have won the tournament? Kaba is someone I really wanted to win the Tournament of Power just because I think Kaba is a cool character, and I don't think anyone would have seen it coming. I feel like he has heart. He would have fought to the end. He would have been a punching bag for someone, and he's that type of person that everyone would have forgotten about. I mean, more so than most people forgot about 17 after he blew himself up. I mean, nobody would have actually sat there and watched Kaba be one of the last remaining people on the stand and think that somehow Kaba's going to win. But it would have been cool because we already knew Kaba's wish in the first place. There was no real mystery there. But who thinks he's going to win? Like, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. And then for somehow, like he uses the teachings with Vegeta and everyone else to actually win. That's who I would have done. Maybe one of the Namekians too. That would have been cool. But Kaba from Universe 6 is the only one who I think had a legitimate reason to actually win. They didn't go that way. Let's see. I'm sorry. I was going off this comment before I jumped back to the other one. Fukkatsu no F only made $60 million. I think not as much as if they kept the series going until the movie released. Ready to explode Cell versus Guru, who is thicker, Mark. Oh my gosh, Guru, whatever. Fukkatsu no F made a ton of money. I mean, you gotta I mean, you just can't count the box office. You have to count like merchandising sales, manga, toll, like everything, like video games and all this other stuff. Fukkatsu no F was such an amazing success that it basically, as much as Battle of Gods did, like Fukkatsu no F really punch started this series back to life, and that's something you can't really take away. It's possible that the movie's going to come out and do even better because of the popularity of this series, because they're letting people sit on it, and we're not getting that episode week after week after week. If they're wanting to make a big deal out of this, then ending the series was a good idea because it's going to make people really want it by the time it actually comes out. Because if the show was still coming on, I can guarantee you that that's not going to be one of the things people would have been thinking about to go see on the weekends or anything else like that. But now they don't have Dragon Ball every week. It's like, oh man, I haven't seen Dragon Ball in months. Like, I need to go see that crap. And they're going to just flock to the theaters. And it's not going to just be in Japan. It's going to be worldwide. This movie will be bigger than Fukkatsu no F. I guarantee it. I think that having one powerful Namekian that fused with all of his people in Universe 6 would have been more interesting because we have one character is more memorable than just two Namekians. I agree. I completely agree. I feel like that would have been actually a lot more interesting, but it's not what we got. Plus, it would have been kind of cool to have the character, a character moment between him individually and Piccolo, who we know is fused with a couple of Namekians throughout the entire series. That would have been kind of cool. But I guess it's really up to anyone else to think about, like, oh, what would you like to see? It's like what I said, like, Universe 6's problem, in my opinion, is that they decided, like, they needed 3 Saiyans and 2 Namekians. I mean, like, jeez, I thought Universe 7's characters were derivative. But they were just like, they ran out of ideas. They just totally ran out of ideas, and no one was bothering to tell them that, hey, maybe you can use the Ardrade and the Sephorian and then just actually come up with just 2 more character ideas, and you would have made the entire thing a little bit better. But nope. Would have been basically just a ripoff from the fan manga. Yes, that is true. It would have, having one Namekian fused with his entire race would have been a ripoff from the fan manga. But for anyone who hasn't read the fan manga, it's definitely worth reading. You should go check it out. Is Krillin Super Saiyan level? I think he is. I would ask like someone like MJ or Seth the Programmer or something, but I think he is, and that's crazy. God, I hate that. Cop Krillin got hurt by a bullet. Guess not. LOL. But Goku got hurt by a bullet too. So, yeah, I think he is. I'm gonna just say I'm not sure, but I think he is. I am the only person who wants Topo a spinoff series. I want a what do they call? I'm just at a loss for words right now. I want a Pride Trooper spinoff. That would be awesome. That would be totally awesome. I would love to see that at some point in the future. I wish Cooler was canon. Cooler was kind of cool. I like Cooler. Like, you would have to find a real good reason to make Cooler canon. Maybe if Frost and Frieza were actually brothers instead of like just instead of just carbon copies of each other, that would have been cool. That would have been cool. That would have been a cool way to kind of make Cooler canon, and also give Frieza a lot more mysterious backstory. Like, oh yeah, like Frieza just knows about the multiverse and doesn't really care a whole lot about it. Like, he never really thought too much about it because he just wanted to rule his own universe and never really thought to explore the unknown in that way because he didn't want to figure out people were stronger than him or something like that. That would have been cool. And the differing ideologies and the fact that they know that there's different ideologies, and then also playing off the idea that, you know, these two brothers are fighting in the same tournament for different teams, and you think maybe they're going to betray each other because there's actually blood there, not just simply, oh, you're my carbon copy from another universe. Oh yeah, cool. Like, that's cool. I mean, obviously Frieza's going to do something to undermine Frost that way. But if it was like a cooler character and they introduced it where like they had some kind of a bond, but it wasn't really that strong, maybe Woody would have been a little bit more hesitant to say Frieza's going to backstab this guy. That would have been actually kind of cool. Gotta think about doing a discussion video with that with MJ or something like that. I think having Goku die from the transformation at the end of Super would make Super have a bigger impact. Yeah, but it's just not like a kid's show. That's the problem. Like, that's not a kid's show ending. I can imagine Dragon Ball Z doing that, but not this time. Like, I agree with you. I would have actually really liked to see that at some point, just having Goku die at some point in this show. Because he just pushed himself so hard, and actually having stakes for having pushed yourself this hard. Maybe you shouldn't do this because you're just immortal or something like that would have been really interesting. But no, they're never going to go that way, I think, ever again. I don't think Dragon Ball Super is never going to get dark again. Dragon Ball in general. So, yeah. I wish Cooler... would you have wanted Frost to be a good guy? I did want Frost to be a good guy. Sorry, my throat is dry. No, I really did want Frost to be a good guy. I can't tell you. I think that was like the most disappointed I've ever been in Dragon Ball Super when Frost actually came out to be a bad guy. It's like, why? Why is this just another Frieza? We just got done with an arc with Frieza being a dick and completely underwhelming. And yet we're going right back into this. This is the next big thing in this entire arc is that Frost is a bad guy. It's a complete twist. Oh, we got you. Ha ha ha. It would have been cool to have a good Frieza. And now, at the end of all this, we have basically Frieza who's, you know, okay. And I guess you gotta give and take. They actually came back and made it interesting. Because a good Frieza's fine. Someone that we would run into every now and then. Someone who would be like a complete team member or a bro with Goku and Vegeta is just really fine. You know, like they're just like, it just feels really weird to like, to kind of be friends with a Frieza-like character or something, but this guy's totally cool. Like, he's just one of our best friends, or he's at least trying to be one of our best friends. That would have been funny. But you know, just kind of playing him off as another bad guy just really underwhelmed his entire character and made him one of those people where I didn't really care what happened to him for the rest of the series. And I really hate that because he had so much promise at the very beginning that it felt so underwhelming by the time they did that reveal. Your thoughts on Dragon Ball Super manga so far? it has done better than the anime up until the Zamasu arc. I don't like the manga. I'm just with MJ right here. I don't like the manga. It's not very good in my opinion. That fan manga is so good in my opinion. It's better than Super Tournament in my opinion. Yeah, Dragon Ball Multiverse, for anyone who hasn't actually read it, it's definitely a must read. It's super fan servicey. I mean, you will never get something more fan servicey than that, but it's really long, which makes for a really fun read, and it actually is really good. Like, I couldn't stop reading it after a point. And the problem with it is it's still ongoing. I don't think it's actually done. So you're going to reach a point where you finish all of it and then you're going to kind of forget about it. Like, I haven't seen it in like a year or two, so it could have finished. But where I left off is like, there's so much more to go on this. Like, they had just finished the first round or something of this entire tournament, and so much stuff has already happened. Like, freaking Bojack killed Pan, and it was like, oh, dang, like, Bojack killed Pan, and Pan from the normal timeline, like the normal timeline that we know of, is like, I'll kill you. And Gohan from our normal timeline is like, look, you know, you're not stronger than that, Pan, so maybe you should just kind of relax, because you're not going to be able to kill this guy, and even though you're all worked up in emotion, maybe you should just pull back. And then Bra from that timeline where the Pan died is just super epic, because she's the daughter not of Vegeta and Bulma, but of Vegito and Bulma, because it comes from a timeline or a universe where Vegito actually never defused by going into Buu. And so Chi-Chi's just like, yeah, my husband was dead anyway. You can go be with Bulma. And they have this baby, and the baby is just unbelievably strong, unbelievably capable. And so Vegito is just like, you know what? I'm gonna just train Pan. I'm gonna train Bra to be the best possible people they can possibly be. And Bra is just a monster in that manga. It's great. And then there's this Namekian that's just a freaking monster, and one of the Brolys is a monster, and it's just like, oh god, so freaking cool. like it's so great. And then there's like a Gotenks fight where like Gotenks from both universes actually fight each other as Gotenks, and they're so evenly matched that they can't fight each other, or they can't do anything, and they keep trying to do like these one-up special moves where they fail like every single time because they always have a rebuttal for it. It's fantastic. I mean, just total fan service, but fun. Do you think that UI should have been the true God form? No, I like UI being just a completely different thing on its head, and not related to the God form. I like the fact that Goku now, if he can pull that out, is actually stronger than Beerus, because it puts Goku in the future of the series in a more interesting place, instead of where we began with Dragon Ball Super, where Goku could simply lose in a fight and Beerus would come save him. I always just detest that, and I felt like that hurt the story more than it helped. They got comedy out of it, sure, but it didn't really do anything for the emotional impact of Frieza's beating down Goku. Oh no. Well, if Beerus cared enough, or Whis cared enough, they would have just walked in and just, boom, you're dead. Okay, let's go home, or something like that. You know, that is always a problem, in my opinion. Jiren versus Beerus. I think Jiren wins. Don't know. I just think he wins. Goku didn't bleed when he got hurt by a bullet, and he had to get bandaged up. Krillin basically became a Hercule. LOL. LUL. I always thought that the Red God form name should have been called God, Super Saiyan God, while the blue-haired God form should have been Super Saiyan God. But I guess it doesn't really matter. No, it doesn't really matter. But you're right. They completely messed up on that, and I really kind of don't like it, in my opinion. My money on Jiren. He held up well against mastered UI Goku, and is stronger than the clown destruction god. I think he stands a good chance to fight Beerus. Yeah, of course, he has a much better chance to fight Beerus than anyone else. I think he's probably stronger than Beerus. But I feel like Beerus probably could get much stronger than Jiren if he actually tried. That's one of Beerus's things. It's like he's not a character who tries. He doesn't even train all that much. So like I think if he trained, then Jiren wouldn't stand a chance, because it's made very clear in the manga, I think, that Beerus is probably one of the strongest gods of destruction in the entire multiverse. And he simply sleeps all the time. He doesn't even take his job very seriously. So if he was actually to train with Whis the same way that Goku and Vegeta did, he would probably be that much stronger. Introduction for the tournament would have been cool. Want to see this in a close movie after December, or new series. New series. I'd rather it be a new series than a movie, but that's just me. Is Super for kid? Is Super a kid show though? A Future Trunks arc seems a bit dark for a kid show. It's still a kid show. I don't want it to be, but it's still a kid show. For the canonization of Cooler, he could have came to Earth for revenge in between the 7-year time skip after Cell. He tells the Z Fighters he was watching their fight with that green bug, aka Cell. But with Cooler, I would put his fourth or base at 60% of Perfect Cell, but when he transformed, he is 1.5 stronger than Super Perfect Cell. Also, Cooler could bring up the fact that he was planning to conquer Earth anyways. That would have been a really cool place for him, and I actually would have really enjoyed that. I understand why they didn't do that, why they wouldn't do it that early, because Frieza's character has been really played out at that point. I mean, with first of all, in the real world situation, it wasn't just all of Namek, but then they kind of brought him back, and then they also did 2 Cooler movies, and then they brought him back for Fusion Reborn, and they brought him back for GT, and they brought him back for all the games, and they brought him back, like, I think his whole stock had worn off a lot at that point, and he wasn't really someone that they were going to sell hard. And that's a shame, because that would have been kind of cool to have Cooler come in. In fact, I know a lot of people say it would have been cool to have Cooler come in when, instead of King Cold, like just have Frieza's brother and no father figure, but or at the very least, like have Cooler and King Cold come back instead of having Frieza come back and just kind of playing it off like Frieza had died. That would have been cool. But no, I understand where you're coming from, and I agree, but it's not an opportune time to bring him back in that instance, unless they were to do like a movie about it, but they had already done movies about Cooler around that time period. So, I mean, I guess it just is what it is. Sorry, my mouth is super dry. I need to go get another drink. How would you feel if Goten was born instead of Trunks in the future and was the one who traveled back in time to earn tell Goku about the android? I like the fact that it was Trunks. I like the fact that it was Trunks, a son of 2 characters you wouldn't really put together the first time around, and it was just kind of surprising. I don't think it could have been anyone else, and I think that's why it works so well. So yeah, it would have been cool to have Goten, but if it was gonna have to be one of Goku's kids, I would have preferred it to be Gohan. Just gonna say, not just some random son that we've never heard about before. I swear, if they bring back Super and just redo the new movie, I'm going to buy a table just to flip it. LOL. Goten wasn't born then, though. Oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah. Whatever. I wouldn't flip it, but I wouldn't flip the table, but it's just, I don't know. I don't want them to just completely I don't want them to completely retell the story of the movie in a new series. I have a feeling that they'll do that, but maybe not. We'll just have to wait and see. Depends on where they put this, whether it's part of the story or not. And that's the problem. You can't have fan fiction without Broly. That's so true. Sorry, I forgot to mention that he could have been born before Goku got a heart virus. All right, guys. All right. I'm going to leave it at that.
Mark, go eat some bread to make your mouth not so dry. Oh God, I really am tired, and also have my mouth is completely dry from talking for over an hour. But an hour and a half. Okay, so thank you guys. Thank you for coming out and having fun with me. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and already you guys are probably subscribed. So thank you so much. Thanks for staying part of the train here, as it were. And at the same time, I hope everyone will be patient as they wait for the rewrite series or any of the other big projects that I'm working on right now. Because of finals, it is taking a little bit of a time to get all that out, to have time to put all this together. So just be on the lookout. Hopefully the next couple ones are coming up soon. Like I said, I have my ideas ready. I know exactly where I'm going with that story. And even though I'm getting to a point where I'm really going to have to start rewatching all of Dragon Ball Super, which is going to be kind of a chore, but also something I'm really excited to do, it's not right now. But I need to rewatch it to see where they came from and where they were going, so I can kind of stay in the same wheelhouse. But at the same time, I really feel like they are going to. I'm going to take out a lot of the big things. Like, there's not going to be a rock paper scissors match. There's not going to be all this talking and everything else like that. I won't really talk too much about the choreography or anything of the fight, so I'll probably just skip through that. But the fights aren't going to be like 6 episodes long either. They're going to be pretty short and sweet. So I'm going to leave it at that. Hope everyone's having a fantastic night. It's been real, guys, really. All right.